Well guys, another beautiful morning out here. I'm pretty happy. I got some coffee handy and yeah, it looks like a nice day. It's gonna be a warm one though, and so I'm out a little bit earlier than probably I normally would be. Now don't get me wrong, it's not early for most of us. It's I think it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. Normally if I had a job to do, I'd try to get out even earlier, but yeah, just how the cookie crumbles. I got out here 9 o'clock, got my coffee going, and I got something exciting to tell you. Not that exciting, but for me it's pretty exciting. Have a look around. Shop's clean. So since we last spoke, I, got in here and I put my nose to the grindstone. I think that's the term. Put my nose to the grindstone and I got ahead and cleaned this place. I also went ahead, I was making some stickers. You guys will see out at my sawmill very soon. I had to make a bunch of stickers. Basically what those are, they're something similar to this that go in between the pieces of lumber I cut in order to air dry them. So I cut a bunch of those yesterday. Did the final touches on the wood stove, so this thing is about ready to go in my house. You guys can see there, nice looking unit. It's older, it's actually older than I am, but sanded off all the rust, touched it up with some paint, and that thing will live another life, hopefully for quite a while inside my home. This saw over here, this thing was getting the miles put on it yesterday as well, making some stickers, cleaning up some lumber. I also got around to making some of these, and for those of you who burn wood, you probably know what that is. That's kindling. So I take all my offcuts whenever I'm doing any lumber making, and eventually I make them into little bits like this, and I just pop them into the house, split them up, put them in the wood stove. Almost there though, cleaning wise. Got a few more things over here to get buttoned up, cleaned up, picked up, and put away. So guys, if you weren't here last time and you didn't get to see the the shop rather, in the state it was in, check out the other video. I've also got a video, or in that video rather, I've also got some segments where I'm dealing with this guy. This is my brand new Echo PPT 2620. This is my pole saw that I went ahead and gave a whirl to. Gave it a shot. Went out and cleaned some of my trails last day with that, so check out that video if you're interested. Anyways, as I said, I'm back out here kind of early because I want to get a head start on today's task, and what that is, it involves the tractor back there. You guys saw probably, was that about a week ago, I was out at the Meadow, and the Meadow is a place that was overrun with ferns. I was out there and I was trying to reclaim that meadow area to essentially clear out the ferns and bring back sort of an open area that I can utilize for whatever. I tackled that project, and check out that other video. I'll put it in this playlist, but I tackled that other, what was I talking about? My brain's going crazy here. I was tackling that project with the box blade on the back of my tractor, and if we head outside, we'll see what that's all about. So I was tackling the project with this guy here. This is my MK Martin. What is this? The 784 HD, so the 78-inch box blade. I was using this to start with to essentially rip out some of the ferns. I found that it didn't work 100%. It tore out the top layer of ferns, but it wasn't getting down to the root ball. And so what I ended up doing was utilizing this guy for the most part. You guys can see this here. This is, well, it's a root rake with a grapple on it. This one is made by HLA. So this is a 66-inch root rake with a grapple. I use this for the most part to clean out the majority of the fern roots. What I'm going to do today is go and finish off the job, and we're going to use my Kioti to do that, and we're going to use my box blade. So hopefully this goes well, and hopefully finishing off the project doesn't have any hidden surprises. Mind you, I do have a stump out there I may try to take out. Yeah, better grab an axe. I think we got an axe here in the junk pile. Better grab an axe just in case I need it to cut up some roots and whatnot. But that's what we're up against today. Maybe before we head out there, I'll just mention a few things, and it comes down to keeping your tractor, in this case my Kioti, operational. Nothing worse than getting up in the morning, having your coffee ready to go, and you end up with an issue with your tractor. You can't use it, and it was preventable. One of the big things with this tractor that keeps it operational is general maintenance. And I don't mean doing huge overhauls. I'm talking just some basic checks. When I come out to use this thing in the morning, I do a walk around, and I'm not kidding, I actually do. I make sure there's air in the tires. Seems pretty straightforward, but believe it or not, the other day my right front was a bit low. I didn't notice it until I got out working and I picked up a log and I could feel the right side, the right front sort of droop down. So I do a walk around, check the air in the tires. I also check the oil. There's more than one type of oil in this thing, and if you own a tractor, you better know that. So I check the engine oil first and foremost. There it is on my Kioti. Make sure that's in there. I also check, and probably equally as important as the engine oil is the hydraulic oil. And I don't like standing too close to an implement when it's raised, so I'm just going to point to it there. You guys can see the orange top, the orange handle on the dipstick. That's the place where I check my hydraulic fluid. Make sure you're checking that, because obviously this thing is utilizing a lot of hydraulic fluid in order to operate. So those are some of the big things that I check. The last thing is maybe less obvious, especially if you're new to this model of tractor. It's checking the loader bolts. The loader bolts, essentially, they can get a little loose from my experience, and I've read online as well that other people have experienced the same thing. The loader bolts are located right here. So we come on down here. You guys can see them. There's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 there. And then back here, there's these guys. These essentially hold the loader onto the tractor. If you can imagine, the loader is lifting, pushing, pulling a lot of stuff. Those bolts have been known to come loose. In my experience, I have to tighten them regularly. And I don't mean I have to, I don't mean they're hand loose and I have to tighten them. I mean they backed off just a little bit. So you can see them there. And if we look back here, you can see the same things. So that's one of the things that you might overlook. And with this model tractor in particular, you don't want to overlook it, because I have found where they have loosened off. And if I let that go, well, you can imagine maybe it bores out the hole a little bit, or you have some other issues, but it won't be a good thing. So yeah, what the heck is that? You guys see that thing? That's a little scary. I'm gonna get away from that. But that's one of the maintenance issues I think you probably want to pay attention to. The other thing that I haven't experienced as much as I've read online with these tractors is wheel nuts. Guys, have a look down here. Here's the wheel nuts, obviously. Same thing on the front. From what I've read, especially when you buy a brand new tractor, the wheel nuts do have the potential to loosen up over time. I haven't seen this firsthand, like I said. I'm just going based on what I've read. So get out the torque wrench. In the manual, it's got your specs on what you need to torque those wheel nuts to. What I do is I just take the torque wrench around periodically and I just make sure they haven't moved. My experience, they haven't moved one bit. But then again, I have not owned this thing since brand new. I've owned it since close to new, but not since brand new. I don't know if the owner who owned it previously had any issues with it backing off the wheel nuts, but yeah, just something to pay attention to. And I got a few more things to tell you about, but the reason I sort of drifted back in here to the shop is so I can top up with some coffee. That's a beautiful thing. You guys like coffee? I like coffee so dark it might as well be the night sky. So that's a real reason I drifted back in here. 2 more things I want to touch on in order to keep your tractor operational for days like today when you want to use it. Keep this thing well greased. Now, I've got a grease gun. You guys probably have a grease gun, at least you should if you own a tractor. Get all the joints greased. Don't forget the joints under the tractor. There's also some on the 3-point implement, the 3-point hitch. Okay, so get under there, check them out, make sure you are aware where all of them are, get them greased. Lastly, in order to keep this thing operational, as I mentioned, there's a lot of hydraulic fluid that's making its way around the machine. For me, I have to make sure those hydraulic lines don't rub on anything, especially these lines right here. You guys see these ones that I had installed for the front of the tractor? These are essentially long hydraulic lines that go all the way back, down along my loader arm, down here, you guys see them right there? All the way under my tractor, back to the rear remotes. Back to right there. Okay, so those right there, they were not factory installed. And so those have the potential to rub because they don't have a definite location where they should go. So you got to really make sure that they're not going to rub on anything. So what I like to do is I take a visual of all the hydraulic lines on the tractor. I rub my hand all the way along all the lines just to make sure I don't feel any abrasion. If there's a spot, like you guys can see right where I'm pointing, you guys see that extra piece of rubber I have there with some zip ties? If there's a spot where I think there's the potential for abrasion to happen, then what I do is I put that little extra piece of rubber. It could be an inner tube, it could be, you know, just a chunk of rubber off something, who knows, but you basically position it on the line so that there's no rubbing that's going to wear itself through the hydraulic line. So I go ahead and check all those hydraulic lines. I make sure that none of them have any signs of wear, especially up here. Okay, so on my root rake, on my grapple, I especially have to be careful here because this has the potential to wear a hole in it. Obviously, if you get a hole in it, your grapple is not going to be in operation until you get it fixed. One thing I am going to do, and probably many of you are saying this as I talk, I am going to get a protective sleeve here that goes over the top of these hoses. To be honest, I just haven't got around to it. I'm really busy. It doesn't seem like it, but I got things coming out the wazoo, so that'll get done. Just not today, because we're heading out to the meadow. Let's talk. Let's go. Okay, let's get out of here. Note to self: don't use a coffee mug in a tractor. That was nearly a disaster. Bring a travel mug. Anyways, what you guys are looking at is where I'm at. So this looks a lot different than what you would have seen if you've seen the first video. Now what you see is a whole bunch of soil and roots. So I'm gonna let this dry out. It's probably gonna dry out the rest of the summer. Then I'm gonna come back here and pick up what I can of the root mass and shake it out and try to get some of the soil recovered. Obviously, if this has a big proportion of soil in it, you don't want to lose all that. But for now, what we're up against is I've got the box blade. I'm going to lower this thing down. I've got the tines up nice and high, so they're on the lowest setting or highest setting, depending how you look at it. But the tines, or the shanks, or I don't even know what else you call them. I know some of you mentioned you don't call them tines, but whatever. I don't know what you actually call them. I brought them all the way up to the top so that they're nearly in line with the scraper blade, so it should provide a nice finish. One thing to take note of: there's a number of little dips and holes and little things like that, and I don't mean big ones, but you can see this one I'm walking into. So we want to fill this in completely, and then hopefully we'll end up with a nice finished product, or nice finished meadow, and then we'll eventually get some grass growing. I don't know if I'm gonna have to plant that. I don't think it's gonna naturally appear that quickly, but that'll be for another day. I think just smoothing this out and getting rid of this brush pile here eventually. See the brush pile back there? Getting rid of that eventually will be enough for me. And hopefully one day, you guys can see up here. We can see up here. Whoa. There we go, we're way up top. One day, hopefully, we end up with a spot that is nice and clear and open, and you know, I can have a bit of grass here. I don't know what I'll do with this, but maybe a spot for friends to camp, or who knows. But that's what we're up against. That's the project. Nice day out here. It's gonna be a hot one, so I'm gonna get in the tractor cab and let's hope this goes well. Here we go. Well, first little business here is to take out that stump. I think the roots are probably in there pretty good, so we'll see what we can do without bending the loader. And I brought the axe, so I might end up using that. Alright, that took a little longer than I hoped, but we got her done. Let's go get rid of this thing. Then we'll get the box blade in action and hopefully we get this thing all wrapped up. Put her in the brush pile here on the other side of this mound. Okay, back in action. Guess I gotta clean up that little hole there before I drive in it. That makes some good video. Landowner rolls tractor and hole he should have filled in. Probably can't see me, but down on my right side here I am using my rear remotes lever in order to close the grapple, and now I'm using it to open it, obviously. 3-point implement, or what am I talking about? Third function, excuse me, third function. That would be ideal, but obviously I don't have one. Maybe in the future. I've gotten used to using the rear remote lever separate from the front end loader joystick, so it's not a big deal to me. If it's your first time, you're probably not gonna like it, but I've sort of made do with what I have, and that's how it is, right? Alright, that's not too bad. I think we'll use the 3-point implement here, the what do you call it, box blade, and see what we can do. Okay, so I'm going to lower her down, and I'm going to put the draft all the way down, so it shouldn't raise up at all. I got it in 4-wheel drive, low gear, hydrostatic transmission, and I'm just watching to have a look to see what kind of a surface it's given me, and it actually looks pretty good. Good enough for me. These hot days, I tell ya, having this cab is a beautiful thing. I'm sweating, but that's because I was out wielding an axe. But most days I hop in here, get the tunes going, and get the AC on, and life's a beautiful thing. So I probably have picked up a little bit of roots here, so we're just going to empty it, and then I'm going to drag back the other way. Bigger tractor, days like today, these are the days you want a bigger tractor. Having as much weight as possible to pull something, you really notice when the pulling gets tough. This is not a tough pull, and those of you who actually farm and you pull a disc or something like that, you're probably laughing at what I just said. This is not a tough pull, but it is a tough pull if you have a small tractor. If you have any weight at all, a small tractor, it could be a tough pull. So today, having the extra weight, having the ballast in the rear tires, really makes this DK40 a sort of a valuable commodity for me. here, and I'm going to show you something in just a second. Let me just pass over the last little bit here. It is beautiful in here with the air going and the tunes blaring. Well, not at the moment, but they were. I am going to call that good. So, let's dump the rest of what's in the 3-point in the box blade there. Just pull her ahead a touch. Okay, let's go and have a look. Okay, so yeah, anyways, the last few passes, and if you guys have a look around there, the last few passes have more or less just smoothed things out. Now what I did in order to smooth things out was I got out and I readjusted the box blade. So I lengthened the top link so that the box blade, and it's kind of exaggerated in the upright position, but I lengthened the top length so that the box blade is tilted, and what that does is it allows for the blade at the back to drag more so than the blade at the front. See it there, it cuts. So it will cut a little bit on that front blade, and what it'll do is it'll take the dirt that's really high, it'll cut it down, and it'll actually fall under that front blade and then get dragged by the back blade. And ultimately that provides sort of the last, I don't know, the last decent planing. What I'm gonna do next is I've got something coming down the pipe that's gonna really help with keeping this sort of like field-like. I'm gonna show you that once it gets here. It's not here yet. I'm not gonna tell you what it is yet. Things are a bit delayed in shipping and all that. You guys probably know exactly the story if you've been ordering anything online. So once that thing gets here, I'm gonna bring it out here and do a few finishing touches on this. But for now, this is about as good as I'm gonna get with a box blade, at least with my skill set. So this tractor performed flawlessly once again. The box blade definitely paid for itself on a project like this. Maybe not this one project, but it helped me. What I'm gonna do next, take the tractor back inside, give it a wash down, and probably on to the next project. Guys, I appreciate you all being here. If you have any questions, you know what to do. If you have any pointers, you know what to do. Put it down below in the comments. Guys, I hope you're all doing well out there. Hold on, rough ride for the next while. Let's hope it ends soon, and I hope to see you guys all next time.